What is good, party people, Last of Us fans? Today I have some fun facts to tell you guys. Some of these facts are going to make you be like, wow, that's kind of cool. Some of these facts are going to be like, I don't know if I care. Some of these facts are going to be truly devastating. You will be floored and shattered. So with that said in mind and spoilers ahead, let's get on with it. Alright, okay. Do you remember in part 2 where Ellie was going crazy at that Lake Hill, Seattle hospital? You know, she had the gun pointed at Nora. It just wasn't looking good for her, and Ellie's like, you know what? Screw it. And she just yeets herself all the way down that basement. And, you know, I said spoilers ahead, so you know what happens after this. You know, Ellie goes and interrogates Nora. First, you gotta take out that little WLF squad with the clickers in the way. But something interesting here is they say, you know, what the fuck is the power still doing on? And that is interesting, because who turned the power on? They're not gonna want to hear that. Well. If it isn't for that one random strange girl, unknown girl that we played at, it's in the first 10 minutes of the game that killed our favorite character, Joel.
Yes.
Think about that for a second, right? But I'm not even done, because once you go to interrogate Nora, you'll hear growling from the Rat King in the background. How crazy is that? Here, listen right here.
I'm not giving up, my friend.
I mean, they both kind of brushed that shit off, but meanwhile, Abby is fighting for her life. This scene was not right played. This scene was just not right, bro. This is easily the craziest sequence in the Last of Us franchise. This was just fucking shit going down. But that's a fun fact. Here's the next fun fact. Trading cards in part 2 have, you know, many references and hidden, you know, parallels, right? You know, you could just look at, you know, the other stages of gameplay and look back at a trading card and be like, oh, that's like exactly what that scene meant, you know what I mean? But then also, there are some cards that were really just thrown in there to play with us, right? This card, for example, is pretty much Hallie Gross, the co-writer of part 2. Shout out to that lady. And you'll find cards like Randy Styles, where it's like, bro, that is literally just Craig Mazin, and how did they put that in the game before the show even came out? And you find out that they actually met through a lunch in 2018, thanks to Shannon Woodward, and they went to HBO that same day right after that. I think it goes without saying we know who this is, though. I mean, come on now. And of course he made himself the villain, too, because, you know, he's the writer. Everybody's gotta hate, the writer anyways. Wow, those card facts were so insightful. How about fact number 3? From what we know in the remake, they only added one character from part 2, and that was Seth in the upper left-hand corner, right? Heads up, y'all. I'm about to floor you. In part 2, there was a member of Abby's crew named Nick, right? And you know how we get more light shed in on Mel, who's shaking hands with Tommy here, and Leah, who gets killed by Seraphis, who's the girlfriend of Jordan, who gets stabbed by Ellie, and then there's Manny, he gets his head fucking blown in. I'm not gonna show the rest of the scene because, you know what I mean, because all that bullshit trauma or whatever, but look how Nick is holding down Joel. It's terrible what they do to Joel. I'm not gonna say Joel didn't have it coming, but it was just so traumatic to any of the players that fucking experienced that. But honestly, I'll make an analysis, a critical analysis video, 30-minute documentary on part 2 another time. My point is, there's Nick, right? And he's with Manny, he's holding him down. Nick and Manny and Abby, all 3 people except for Joel in the scene, they used to be Fireflies, right? What I'm saying is, in the remake, they added a hidden death animation. You're stalling in the hospital room, and here comes a younger Firefly Nick will come in to chop you down. A very cool hidden detail indeed. If you played part 2, you'll see his demise as Tommy gets his hands on him, is able to just interrogate him like crazy. Who knows how long he had with him. And I know Abby's crew all died pretty terrible deaths, but it's debatable that Nick could have had the most painful death out of all of them. You know what I mean? Jordan got stabbed in the throat real quick. Manny got shot in the head. Leah got arrowed down or whatever. But no, Nick suffered because Tommy got his hands on him. You know for a fact. Here's the classic, Miller interrogation. Wow, that was such an epic 4th fun fact. How about a 5th fun fact? What about the factions multiplayer? Let's talk about multiplayer for a second, you know what I'm saying? Now, do you remember in part 1 the story of Ishmael in that sewer of, young children taking refuge from the apocalypse? It was honestly such a disturbing and fucked up story. It's really fucked up. But they actually put Ish in the Last of Us factions multiplayer on the beach map. Ish was here, which someone else was too. Absolute just lonely king, prayer. Now, if you've been keeping up with the latest show episodes and you have played factions before, you will recognize the music that they play in factions, like the AC tension and the menu music. They played it during Bill eating his steak Ron Swanson style, and while Joel was getting ready to go to the outside. The fact that Naughty Dog is acknowledging factions multiplayer music means we're getting something soon. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, this is the end of the video because those are the only unique Last of Us facts that I found out kind of myself, but there are totally some other parallels and references I haven't even thought of when it comes to making this video. But I also want to make a separate video on its own for part 3, then also make another video on factions 2 because it's just gonna be so good and I have more ideas about it. But I really want to dedicate this episode to Annie Wershing. She passed away of cancer almost a full day and a half ago. It's just so awful, and it's just a really terrible struggle, something like that. And I just wish the best for her family. She has a GoFundMe for her children and her husband, so I'm gonna put that in my bio down below, or the description. I just want to say that Annie, she definitely brought Tess to life as a character, and she'll be super missed, and it's very unfortunate, and I wish her family the best, and it's just really tough.
Where do you think you're going?
Malik, sit back
Oh,
down.
sorry, Tess. Didn't realize you two were together. Go ahead.
I'm looking for Robert. You come through here?
Half hour ago.
You don't want to do this.
Turn the fuck around and leave now.
I'm not going anywhere without Robert.
Bitch, I will bash your skull unless you turn around and get your dumb ass out of here.
Fuck this.